The Met is, an organisation that's under the spotlight. And as the policing minister absolutely said, what we need now is authentic leaders who step forward and lead. And we've seen that in Cressida Dick. We've seen that repeatedly when the Met comes under attack. We've seen that yesterday when she read her statement outside the Old Bailey. And you could see, and I could see, the sheer emotion that she managed to contain and the gritty determination that she's showing to get this right. And I know Cressida, and I know very senior officers that she's brought into her most senior management team, some of the most talented women in policing, AC Louisa Rolfe, AC Helen Ball. And for us to be having a debate now about this, taking the scalp of more women in the context of what we're talking about is entirely wrong. What we need to be focusing on, Kay, is what needs to change in policing, what policing as a whole, and the Met in particular, needs to learn from this monster, and he was a monster, and so that this can never, ever happen again.
Yeah, but her male officers, feel so comfortable that they can actually share between themselves homophobic, misogynistic comments. Other officers, since 2010, hundreds and hundreds have been investigated. Only 70-odd have lost their jobs. And, she is presiding over that. Doesn't matter if she's a woman or not. She's the head of the Met. And this is going on under her nose.
What we found as a former HMI, and I led the report on Shining a Light on Betrayal, is that we need to stamp out in policing these misogynistic attitudes, this sense that it's all right to join into banter, which is, making fun of women, demeaning women, subverting women away from their kind of principal activities. And we know that within policing, there's been an awful lot of work done since we published that report to challenge some of these attitudes. And this is not just about supporting male officers and female officers who speak out against this. This is actively encouraging this to happen. And I'm seeing that happening now in police forces up and down the land. And I know it's happening too in the Met. The only way through this is to address this issue head on, to not call out the narrative, I would say, that this is a one-off, that this is an aberration. Wayne Couzens was a monster, but we must be certain that this can never, ever happen again. And the debate, I think, today should be about looking forwards. What now needs to change to make sure that the trust in policing can be restored? It has been broken, absolutely. What now needs to happen in order to restore trust in our police?
So what should happen? Who should be held accountable, responsible for the misogyny and murderous behaviour of a police officer that was formerly part of the Met?
Okay, good question. We published a report 2 weeks ago looking at the way in which violence against women and girls is dealt with as a society and within policing. And we were very clear that this now needs to be uplifted as an absolute priority. No longer can crimes against women and girls be treated as second rate, as not important. And in order to do that, we've called on the government to make it clear to police and crime commissioners and chief constables that this needs to be treated in the top 3 priorities of all crime that the police deal with. And until there's that leadership that says unequivocally and clearly to police officers, this is important, this is your principal primary role, we're going to struggle to tackle some of those cultural issues that we're talking about today.
OK, former Met Chief Super Parm Sandhu saying yesterday that female officers don't always report suspicious behaviour of male colleagues because they close ranks and you risk being left to get your head kicked in on duty if you call for help. Let me just play this grab to you.
If a female officer in particular makes an allegation against a male officer, that allegation will follow her for the rest of her career. If she makes that allegation and then she has to press the emergency button for help at a later date, her team may not respond because teams tend to close ranks. There isn't that sort of culture where you can actually bring concerns to the fore, and senior managements don't always want to hear those concerns.
I did put that to a friend of mine who's a former police officer who also said that that is something that she recognised. What sort of culture oversees that?
Okay, I know Palm really well. She used to work with me. I hear the authenticity and what she's saying there. I hear too accounts of women in policing not feeling that they can speak out, but I hear an overwhelming majority now of police officers, male and female, who are standing together. They are not accepting of the position that they find themselves in. They're standing together to call out these heinous acts, but also these small microcosms of behaviours that we know will lead to escalations of behaviours on the part of police officers. And we now need to create the culture and environment where people are not only supportive, they're actively encouraged to step forward and step out. I've worked for 12 years, Kay, in policing. Police has been betrayed by this monster, but I am absolutely certain that there are hundreds of thousands of police officers up and down the land who get up every morning to do nothing but to serve the public, to do the right thing. And it's those police officers that we need to be focusing on today and encouraging them to stand together and to call this out.